So lower back pain, I think most of the time people come in complaining of lower back pain, and I say to them, do you feel the pain sort of vertically up the spine, or do you feel it more horizontally across to the top of the pelvis there? And it's generally always across the top of the pelvis. There's obviously, there's 101 different reasons or treatment options, or it's very complex. But I think if you're not owning or taking ownership of your movement, then nothing else really matters, to be honest, because you're a human being, and one of the most fundamental things you do as a human being is moving. And if you're not being conscious of how you're moving, then nothing else is going to replace that. It's what you do every waking minute of your day. Okay, so passive treatment options are great, but you need to take ownership of your movement. So the way I see it and the way I talk to people about it, it's kind of two sides to the same coin. One side is your position. So if you're, say, doing something with your shoulders, your arms, your hands, but for whatever reason, your job, whatever the circumstances are, you're required to be in this bend over position, you need to make sure that the first thing is that you can actually get into a decent position. So can you hip hinge? Can you pull your hips backwards? Is your spine one nice rigid piece, as if it wasn't all of these individual segments that have the potential to create movement? It's one rigid piece, as if it was one bone. So you're pivoting through your hip and through your knees. So that's the first thing, is when you're doing these things, or if you're picking something up, if you're working with your hands, are you in a good position? And then the second part, the other side of the coin is, can you basically control force and create force? So when you're in this hinged position, are you able to absorb force using your hamstrings? So when you pull your hips back, your hamstrings will load. All of the stress goes into your hammies, none of it goes into your back. That's the first part. Can you absorb the force? And then can you produce force? So when you're in this position, can you then push your feet down through the floor as if you're doing a leg press to create some force to buffer gravity, to buffer whatever you're doing with your arms? So have you got the position? Have you loaded your hamstrings? And then can you push your feet into the ground to create a stable base to then do stuff with your hands, whether that's your job requires you to bend over a table doing things, or you're lifting something off the floor. Those are the two main things that I would say to someone is, are you bending over well, and then do you know how to absorb and create force?